I got a roll call, please.
Adam Kavanaugh. Here. I'm in the class. Ali DeFabrias.
Here.
Mike Corral.
Here.
Brian Carroll.
Here.
Ali Schoenfeld.
Here.
Zach LaFontaine.
Here.
Jason Regan.
Here.
Joshua Angara.
Here.
Isabel Bolier.
Here.
Luis De Garte.
Here.
Ashley Harrias.
Here.
Danny Hazelton.
Here.
Riley Veeder.
Here.
Fiona Dolan.
Here.
Joseph Pastuli.
Here.
Michaela Apt.
Here.
Alexandra Robbins.
Here.
Mackenzie Morgenweck.
Here.
Irwa Shumway.
Here.
Nathaniel Rollo. Matthew Tilley.
Here.
Stephen Nailsman.
Reading approval of December 6th meeting minutes. Do I have any motions?
Motion to approve those meeting minutes?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of approving? All those opposed? Abstentions? Those meeting minutes were approved. Reading approval of last meeting's minutes. Do I have any motions?
Motion to approve last week's minutes?
Second. All those in favor of approving last meeting's minutes? All those opposed? Abstentions? Last meeting's minutes are now approved.
Motion to reorder the agenda. If we can have the screen go to the bill with the agenda there. Bill.
On your, okay.
Motion to reorder the agenda to read as follows: call to order, roll call, reading and approval of minutes. Open floor for guests, open discussion, open floor for non-senator, or for student body. Executive report, Senate reports, university committee reports, old business, new business, announcements, and adjournment.
Second. All in favor of reading the meeting to that? All opposed? Abstentions? That is our new meeting order. All right, we are going to move right into. We actually have guests. We kind of tricked you off. We have a guest today. So please help us welcome our lovely advisor, Blair Carroll, who's the Director of Branding and Creative Services. Yay!
Hi, everybody. So I want to start. I know there's been some chatter around the anti-racism campaign on Yik Yak and social and offline, all over the place. And so I just want to take a little bit of time to clarify some things. Hopefully this answers some questions and concerns. So the first part is I think there was a feeling that the campaign was just that. It was a campaign. We were going to put this nice little logo out and like that was that. And I think it's really important to note that this is really part of a much, much larger initiative. The posters, the campaign, they all go to a webpage that has resources, definitions, events, bias reports. So basically, a lot of the information that's on our website, right, it was hard to find. It wasn't upfront. The information wasn't being shared clearly with all of you. So that's something that we're really working on, and hopefully these posters will drive more traffic. We can have a better reporting system, on and on. So that's the first part. The second part is I know there's a lot of concerns around who is being presented on these posters. And I want to start by saying I know there were issues with certain clubs or organizations that were left out. And I want to be clear that Senate was included on that list because they had been reached out to and had agreed to be a part of the campaign. We had had other clubs and orgs listed on that sheet in that presentation, and Stephanie asked that until we got approval from those people, that they should not be a part of the presentation. And so we removed all of them from the list. The second part of that, and we haven't been able to share that information with all of you yet because we don't have it, the issues surrounding John King, maybe some of the other people in the campaign, saying things in the past that were hurtful or harmful. we're giving them the opportunity to have a pledge and to share the work that they're doing to be better. And that's a part of this campaign too, is allowing everyone the space to do better. So I want to dispel any concerns that we're gonna put a large picture of someone and a logo explaining that they aren't racist and then say nothing else. That's not what's going on. Did I miss anything? I think that. And at that point, I will open it up for anyone else who has any questions or comments or concerns. And before I do that, I just want to reiterate, I know I put it in the group chat during the Clubs and Orgs retreat. My email is an open door. If you have questions, comments, concerns, want to talk to me about it in person, I'm here to do that. Lynn, my boss, is here to do that. Brian Williams is here to do that. And we're happy to have those conversations. We want this to be right, and that was the goal of the Clubs and Orgs retreat. So I also at the same time want to thank you for voicing your concerns. I would just ask maybe voice them to me moving forward. I feel like we can have a really productive conversation and move this in the direction that it should be headed.
And echoing that, I mean, yes, having conversations amongst each other to like, kind of like, am I off base here? No, this really is a concern. Okay, this is how I'm feeling. I'm gonna go to address it to Blair. I'm gonna address it to Lynn or whoever. That is what we would really like you to do, is take those concerns and please bring it to us so we can make those alterations. If you absolutely hated this anti-racism campaign, tell us, please. Tear it apart. Let us know exactly what it is you hate about it, because we're gonna make changes. Nothing has been printed yet or anything. Like we still, like they're still editing. So they're gonna be collecting people, pledges and everything else. So we haven't moved that far yet. But we need to know from y'all, like, are y'all on this? Like, does this actually work?
I'll now open the speakers list and I'll start with Michaela, Josh, and people who I haven't gotten yet, please keep your hands up.
Thank you very much for talking about this. I had my question really well formed, now it's gone. I guess if nothing has been released, where is this where are these concerns coming from? I feel like I just got blindsided because I haven't heard anything on Yik Yak and stuff like that. How is this being brought to students already if nothing is really printed or anything? Where is the disconnect?
Sure. So knowing that this came as a resolution from the Student Senate in response to students saying that they wanted this to happen on campus, we felt it was really important after we had done the preliminary work of this is what we think the campaign is going to be, this is what we're planning on so far. We felt it was an important part of the process to come back to students. And so my team and I came to the Clubs and Orgs retreat. I think it was the day you were sick. I think that's why you're confused. Probably, I'm sorry. All right. And did a presentation saying, this is what we're thinking about. These are the things that we've worked on. Share your thoughts, questions, feelings, what have you. So that's where this is stemming.
Okay. Just a follow-up on that is, so that was just directed at the Senate. Is this, but you're saying there's stuff that's going up on Yik Yak and stuff like that? So has this gotten out to general student body, or is this just Clubs and Orgs know about this? Or, sorry.
Would you like to do a statement?
Sure. So there has been postings on Yik Yak. There have been student leaders who talked about it, whether they were at the presentation or they talked to other student
Gotcha.
leaders and had conversations back and forth. Grapevine is small and stuff filters to my ears. It's great. And my concern, other student leaders' concerns, is that information that was presented probably wasn't heard in the entire context. So there's a perception of it not being a great campaign because of X, Y, and Z. And that isn't the full scope.
Gotcha. Thank you. Rob?
Yeah, thank you for the update again. What's the link to the website if there has been a link? It hasn't been fixed yet?
So nothing has been, so to Adrian's point, like nothing is set in stone. There's a web page that's being made on the back end that hasn't been released to anybody yet. It's looking like that web page will be live on February 14th, and that's in conjunction with things that Stephanie is sending out as well. So it's looking like that will be the timing. But again, when we hear things from you, if there's other questions and things, we will work to change them, but as of right now, that's
There's what else was there. That it's, there's like the barcode, if you've ever seen the barcode on like the posters, that's where like, yeah, sorry, QR code, that's the website, that's gonna be, pretty sure, correct?
it will be.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
not- Yeah. it's not-
No, but that's like the, okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
sure.
Is the video from the retreat on campus, like accessible to senators?
Yes, so that will be up either tonight or tomorrow morning. Apologies for the delay, but that will all be up and accessible.
Sure.
So my big thing is just coming off of board retreat, I know that the video is gonna be shared, but just a little bit more information could have been sent out to yours, because I know a few people in my group were unfortunately unable to make it to retreat, and so we have no idea what's going on, and I feel like just the fact that we were not included is unfortunate, and yeah, and also just, I really feel that I'm still kind of confused, like, what is it? Is it just always spotlighting people that are doing work, or is there intentional education that's going there?
Definitely. So it's both. So there's a level of the campaign where it is about spotlighting allies and people on campus who are doing the work. The lead up to that is hopefully it inspires other people to do the work. And it all ladders up to a web page where there are opportunities for people to do that, whether it's educational, attending events, conversations with the CEO, all sorts of different avenues for people to participate in DEI work that's happening.
And I would speak to the comment about not being invited or, sorry, I forget exactly the word you used, but included. I'm assuming you mean IRHA?
Yes.
Okay. Pretty sure, once again, IRHA is probably on that list of groups that are being reached out to. So when that list was provided at the retreat, it was truly only those entities who had agreed to be a part of the campaign. There is a whole nother list of people that are being reached out to, whether it be by marketing, by Stephanie, whoever else. Because I can't speak fully on behalf of that, but I know there's a whole other list of people that are reached out as individual groups, that clubs, organizations, departments that they're going to be reaching out to. So I'm pretty sure your invitation would be fun.
And I think it's important to note too, we're inviting people in a capacity that makes sense for where we are at in the campaign. So the other thing I noted during the presentation, and thank you, I will make a note that we should send some follow-up to just like outline everything that we said there. So I'll make sure that that goes back noted. But I also shared that our residence halls are kind of disparate, right? So it's hard to have major impact in a residence hall where there's maybe not like a main kind of gathering area. So like think about Willow, for example. There's the entrance, but I'm sure you even experienced that when you're putting out flyers and stuff. It's hard to have that main space. So we're working really closely with residents, like to go through all of the residence halls and understand the places that are gonna have the most impact. So I would also imagine IRHA will be a big part of the residence hall portion.
One of my concerns is that this campaign has only been presented to org leaders and like people who are involved in the capacity, which I know it's like the early process, but I do know there's a lot of people on East Campus that would like to have their voice heard and like kind of participate in the planning of it. Just based on some of the conversations that have been like happening around like the rec center or like things like that. So is there gonna be like an opportunity where this is gonna be presented at like the Senate meeting as an open forum in the beginning, or is there gonna be like some kind of inclusion of students that might not be on an org in like the early process so they can kind of have their input heard?
Sure. So I know Stephanie has been doing the work to have some of those conversations with groups that she has access to that are kind of outside of this round. And we did in the beginning do an all student survey. We haven't done that since the onset. And so we used that original survey to dictate what we did. So if it wasn't like on Instagram or what. So we did open that was open to the whole. I think realistically what we're looking at this point for participation will be if students or faculty or staff outside of this original list want to participate, we're thinking about ways they can share their pledges and they do something on social media. So we are having those conversations, larger events on campus where they need to write your pledge on the wall or something. We're having those conversations, but it has to be a phased approach because the timeline is so tight. So this is just part one. And I think that's important too, right? The university is looking at this like, I'm not gonna be close here, I'm gonna check box and move on. This will be a very long, I would say, year plus campaign. Thank you, you're welcome.
Okay, so I think I just have like a few questions. So I really like the phrase, intentional education. So I guess this is just kind of like throw the thought out there, like how exactly can we do that and make intentional education like more part of the campaign? Because I think that was like what the campaign was largely for, was to educate students that need to be educated on the topic of race, like the students who need to be educated by this campaign aren't the ones that are like going to be scanning the campaign and things like that. So how do we get like more interaction there? And is this campaign like is this campaign like a figurehead, or is it just a resource page? So it's like, I'm trying to like put my question. Is this campaign like led by a specific entity, and it's like, this is the racism campaign presented by SLO or something like that? Or is it more or less like the campaign in and of itself is just like a resource page? Does that make sense? Like, is it an active thing, or is it more of like a here's a resource page?
So it's definitely an active thing.
Okay.
I can share that the campaign is being done under the marketing team, which is under the office of the president. So it's an institutional effort, which I think is important. SLO and a lot of the customers have done work. Now it's time for the institution to do that, and we see that. But it's definitely not a figurehead. So there's work being done behind the scenes by Stephanie that's to, completely reconstruct our bias in incident reporting and to think about how we share that information more publicly and having more, to your point, intentional education. So inviting speakers that are interesting and engaging to our students, right? So all of those things are happening. You're not gonna go to a webpage and be like, this is what anti-racism means. Like, it is so much deeper than that.
Gotcha.
The EverFi training ties into this. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but at the end of the day, we can at least say that we'll have the first cohort of people that have done 2 EverFi trainings. That's something that we can put there, and we can have other resources for better reporting, right? Like, I think that's we've heard that before, like, reporting is hard and where do you do it? So we've made things easier, that's part of it, but we've also given opportunities for people to learn and engage.
Awesome. And then, when you kept saying, oh, they are inviting, IRHA to this campaign. So who exactly is they?
The marketing department plus Stephanie.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There was mention of pledges surrounding like issues where university officials have said some unfortunate things, and or is there any contingency plans for unfortunate situations where pledges would be broken for emergencies?
That's a complicated question. I think there are checks and balances in place. So Stephanie will be making sure that staff and faculty can make pledges or living up to them, as will the marketing department. And if something, that was a question that was brought up, the question, you know, if something happens, it's ultimately our responsibility to make sure that that version of that poster comes down, right? So, and on the flip side of it, if there is a poster that's up where students are doing unfortunate things to it or writing unfortunate things around it, it's also our responsibility to make sure that ends.
So is there, I don't know what phase or stage the team is on, but is there like tiers or like how is that, or is that on a case by case basis to be dealt with?
It's going to be on a case by case basis, and phase 1 of this campaign doesn't include these pictures and pledges. It's part 2. So part 1 is just going to be the graphic concept, the web page. There's going to be a survey that goes out to the students, faculty, and staff about DEI on our campus and where we stand. And it's really important that everyone fills that out with really, really important information that we're gathering. So that's part 1. These photos and these pledges is part 2. Based on timing, my guess is that everyone will come back from spring break and that phase.
So is there only 2 parts to the campaign?
No, those are the 2 parts that we know about now. This will be a year-long plus effort. So I would also imagine we'll have this first group of people, right? And phase 3 would be like, okay, well, they've been up for a while and there's other people on campus who are interested in sharing a pledge. And so those will come down and get replaced. So this is a living thing. And I just want to read it again. We're not like checking the box and like we're done. This is like a constant response and growing and evolving. And so that's why it's really important that we get your feedback too. So if something goes out and it's not working, we need you to tell us that.
One last question. Besides the open forums with the CBO Stephanie, how can non-senators like voice their opinions and thoughts about the campaign? In this case?
I think the best way to do it would be a survey. And so I can go back to my team and ask that after we roll out into the first, or I would probably suggest after we roll out the second part of the campaign, after we roll out phase 2, that we send an all student survey out and allow people to fix their comments.
Are you also thinking about non-senators who have opinions right now that want to share their opinions? Or are you talking about after the campaign has gone out?
Just for, I was referring to students who may not be senators or student leaders or part of the groups that have already been reached out to by Stephanie. Like currently, what's their options for voicing their opinions about the campaign, if they even know about it.
I would, as wife, I think email Blair, email Stephanie, like, truly just, even if it's, like, I have concerns about the campaign. Here are my big three, but I have more, so we set up a meeting to discuss.
Thank you. So at this current moment, and as we look at, the horizon that's before us, and from my personal conjecture, what can Student Senate do to aim in that effort of what do we do now going forward? Looking beyond the phase 1 deadline, looking at spring break when we get the all-student email sent out, well, what can Student Senate do now and prolong as we start to hit our deadlines? What can we do to aid in that effort?
In DEI efforts, which should be a part of the campaign.
Or both.
That's a loaded question. Well, as far as DEI efforts, I can share that I have had conversations with Adam, asking him to start conversations around evaluating the systems that Senate specifically has in place that makes it harder for our BIPOC students on campus to get in touch with you, or whatever it may be. Look at your systems. Are there roadblocks? What are you doing to change them? That's kind of one thing to think about in the larger scope of what you're doing. As far as being part of the campaign, I think the best way is Senate makes a pledge as a group, and whatever that pledge is, really making sure you are passing legislation, you are writing resolutions that live up to that.
Busy.
I have two questions. One for you guys, and then if you don't mind, I'd like to ask one to the general audience. So for the first one, what are going to be some ways and opportunities that we can see the people in the phase 2 posters who are taking these pledge? How are we going to be able to see them, not like in action, but really holding out their pledge? Because while I understand DEI can be a lot of internal work and education, there also has to be that intent to act on it. But also not assume that not every person needs to be educated, and they might just need the tools and resources to be able to live out and make that lifestyle change. So are there going to be any opportunities the students will see to be able to see some of those higher administrations that have potentially made some harmful comments, who are trying to really change and really be that ally?
Sure. So I think in that case, the best way that information will get out is that Stephanie is working with my team on establishing a DEI newsletter that will go out monthly-ish, give or take. I'm still working on timing on when that will be. But realistically, the goal of that newsletter is to share things that are happening. How are we moving forward? What are things that our administrators are doing, or our students are doing, and highlighting those things. So I think that's where you're going to see a lot of it. The other part of the webpage is tracking our progress. So if there are things that the institution is saying, and there are, in a strategic plan, we need to do this marker by this time, all of that will be done. And we'll be reporting.
Great, thank you. And my question to the audience. So feel free, you don't have to answer right now. Feel free to get back to me on this one. So Zach had worded it very beautifully, but I want to hand it back at you guys. Because while Student Senate, we can create resolutions, we can create legislations, we can create bills, but we're not going to create that unless we really have that student. And again, we have students in the crowd tonight who are saying, how are students, outside of org leaders and student leaders are going to be a part of this. So if you can think on it, I would really love if, we can all join teams and find ways together that we can make sure students outside of this room are hearing about this, are being a part of this together. If you guys have ways that we can all work together to do that, to make sure it has that student voice really oriented to the goals and the legislation, I think that would be great. While again, we also should be doing that legwork to make sure we're hearing your voices. We also want to make sure we're reaching out to that population we may not be getting, to make sure we are really hitting that DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and access.
Yeah, and if you'd like to. Go ahead.
Terminology. Guys, stop hyping me up. Something for ICC that's super important is we have committee meetings every week. Every single one of your classes has a committee meeting. So we also have a spirit and traditions committee meeting. So if that's something like that's a place where we can talk about stuff like this. Our general assembly meeting is like, we have a lot of options. So that's something that I can bring back to my organization.
Please,
Like a point of whatever,
Another-
information.
point of additional information.
Another thing that I was thinking of is like, even today, like we're all asking questions on how students outside of this room know about this campaign and can give their input. One thing is that no one knew we were talking about this today. So if you guys talked about like, or like put out an agenda, our students would be able to come and talk about it and give their opinions as well. Because I think that's a major roadblock is people don't know who's coming to these meetings to talk about what until like day of, or like even like hour of. And I think that also hinders the people that can come to these meetings and talk about it. Because even if they weren't able to come, they would be able to reach out to someone to share before a topic happens, or they could ask someone to share on their behalf. But I think without kind of talking about like what's coming up on the agenda, even for like other topics, then people aren't able to know like how or like where they can share their opinion.
I'll respond to that one real quick. Just for a FYI, just on, obviously not a lot of people knew, to be honest, none of y'all knew either, sorry. This was a change that was made, quite honestly, 5 minutes before the meeting, because I did hear concerns. I knew that some students, had concerns about the, anti-racism campaign, and Blair was already planning on talking about it today during, the advisor report, and she said, you know what, just let's move up and let me just become like a guest speaker so I can talk about that first and foremost, because I want to get to the main concern that people have had questions about and discuss that at first. But as far as the agenda, that is something we are definitely trying to change. Hopefully we could have another meeting where this topic is talked about. That's something we're gonna have to discuss at e-board, but as far as the agenda, we have been working on posting it more. We kind of have no PR chair at the moment, so we are going to be putting one today. So hopefully we will have some more lovely agendas to be posted on our social medias.
I'll just add. I know even in the past, if a speaker was coming, there wasn't a problem. The job things are very simple, job things is 800, right? It leaves the huge window of opportunity like what are we discussing. So I've been working with Jordan and Adam on even if we have multiple speakers, let's do it by topic. So maybe one day it's like student life and then if you guys like, but whatever it may be, we're gonna try to do it topically for that very reason. So that you guys can come prepared, have questions, talk independently about what.
Thank you. I also would just, I would strongly encourage Student Senate to strongly think about having this as a topic in the future. I know you said your e-board will discuss. I think this is something that's extremely important for students to be aware of. So I strongly encourage you to do that.
Thank you for sharing that. Ava.
All right. So I have 2 things. Sorry. So my first thing, is kind of, I didn't express this during when I did speak on Zoom, but I did want to express this. I think a big issue at the moment that this has been something that's actually expressed with my organization. We had a discussion about this afterwards. To be honest, there hasn't really been a consequence for students who like do really bad things on this campus. Specifically, I was referring to people when there was a blackface incident and the person that went out completely described an incident that was not true. When I had a meeting with my staff that Thursday, when they actually sat us down and talked to them about what actually happened. And there was honestly little to no consequence, and there's been same things for multiple like issues. So I just kind of find it a little difficult to like, I don't know, if there's not a seen consequence, it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to word this, like, they don't see anything wrong with it, if that makes sense. Like, they're committing this action that's horrible, and there should be, they should be kicked out of school, and that is my opinion, but like, there's little to no consequence about it, like, maybe they just get suspended for a week, or like, that's kind of it. And that was kind of what happened with that. And then basically what I did say on Zoom, like, I still do have an issue with certain people on that list, but it's not because of specific things from this year. As a senior on this campus who's graduating, and I was an RA for 2 years, like, those people that are on that list spoke about those incidents and spoke about a lot of different things, and they were rough meetings. So it's just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth from the past like 3 or 4 years, and that was kind of also what I wanted to express. But I don't know, I get the, I understand there's gonna be a website with a statement, and I, happy I can Josh that wrote it up, but like making sure they follow their statement, so that was what I was gonna add to it.
I definitely can't speak on conduct specifically. What I can speak on is that I will be working this week to get our 2 student senate members to be on the student conduct review committee. Probably not the correct words in the correct order, but there was something that Dr. King was talking about last semester, and this is the Article 6, because it was brought up in, I think, definitely in a meeting last semester, how Article 9 is super long, super in-depth, and Article 6 has, sorry, Article, what is this, like? Okay. Title 9 has this whole in-depth, long, everything, and then Title 6 is short in this. So that is what they're going to be discussing in the committee. Obviously, I cannot speak fully on conduct, but hopefully we do see some changes as far as they're going to be revamping, and there will be student members on that. So hoping for that change, and we will be having those members on that committee, hopefully solidified this week.
Point of,
Thank you.
point of inquiry.
Sure.
Oh, wait. So when you said we're gonna have members from student senate.
There were people who reached out last semester, interested in the positions, for two people to sit on. I'm just gonna reach back out to those people to see if they're still okay with sitting on that committee. I gotta know how things have changed from last semester to this semester, and I'll be giving those names to Dr. King, and he'll be working to, with everyone on that committee to solidify a time where they will be, their main goal of going over the, Title 6.
Okay, thank you for going.
No problem.
Sorry.
Very good. Do you have a point of inquiry, Jordan, or you want to go to the both? Go ahead.
So from our AJ's perspective, nice thing for us is that we do represent all of the hall, of the residence halls and all of the hall councils, so best way to reach out to us about things is probably go to our general meeting. We have representatives from every hall council there, and I'm sure they would be happy to discuss this.
Thank you. Moving on to the speakers list, I know Mike is next.
Hello, so I know that we also have, like, with this campaign, we're gonna have specific students from our groups speaking out, making this pledge as well as faculty members. So if there's like just taste or misinformation on my part, please correct me, but I think that would also be good to include a lot of faculty groups as well. But the faculty senate, speaking the front inclusion, like schools, for example, like the Valley, just so that they can make that pledge, and then we can also see what progress they're making while moving forward.
The groups are a little bit more challenging. Our intent is to feature a range of faculty who we can speak to them being allies because of the work that they're doing in the classroom, which starts to get a little bit muddier when you're talking about a whole school. There might be faculty there, I'm not saying they're doing anything bad, but there might be faculty within that school that this point here haven't done the educational portion of DEI work yet and haven't started doing that work in the classroom. And so we have to be a little bit more intentional about how we're doing it, if that makes sense. But I do want to share too, I know Mike mentioned faculty, but it's important to know that it's staff too. So the list included, dining, facilities, HR, right? Those are all groups on campus that also have a really large impact on student experience. So we're making sure we're covering them.
Michaela? Sorry. Go ahead.
So one of the things that was brought up a lot last semester was, students didn't understand like the conduct process. Is, that gonna be something that can be offered on the website?
Yes, so the conduct part is a big part of the website shift. The information was hard to find on the website, it probably wasn't very clear. I know John Kane has spoken about having student reps a part of that process, so all of that information will be available in one spot. But calling it a web page is probably doing it in disservice. It's like a web hub is a better way to think about it. So any sort of resource, reporting, access to education, events that are pertinent on campus, it's all in that one space, and it all goes to that one short URL or QR code, so that students who are not finding it, like go on the website and search for it.
So on this research hub, sorry, on this resource hub, it'll say like, I think the issue, what part of the issue was, if you did find the information, it was really hard to understand the information, so it wasn't like, if you do this group of, bad things, this is kind of what, group of consequences there are that can be pursued, and then it's not just like this is the overall, like it goes from this person to this person to this, this group to this group to this group. It was like this is the specific things that can happen if you do a group of bad things. Does it kind of go into that, or is it more or less just like the stuff that was just already on the website, if you could find something on the website?
So it's definitely a deeper dive than that.
Okay,
But that being said, I think, and again, it's hard for me to speak to conduct. I can speak to the campaign, I can speak to the resources that are gonna be there. As far as how conduct changes, kind of outside of my purview.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think there will be clear descriptions. I think it's hard to say if you do this, then this, because it's such a case by case basis. So I wouldn't expect that.
I don't know if you have an answer to this question, but it's just kind of more of an idea to throw out there, for the events, like maybe later in the semester year or whatever. Has there been any thoughts of like reaching out to different like departments on campus and different faculty to bring like guests and speakers that are like specific to like those areas of study and like of work, so that people kind of going off of Taylor's earlier point about like the people who need to see these things aren't gonna scan the QR code, like, is there a way to get like this person who's doing DEI and STEM specifically, and then all of the STEM teachers and professors can be like, hey, extra credit if you go to this, and get kind of a bigger.
So I think what you're talking about specifically is what I would call embedded equity.
Yeah.
So the entire strategic plan, every aspect of it has embedded equity. So my answer, while I don't necessarily think that's like tied to the campaign per se.
Yeah, just like
it's
to be on the
something-
website.
Yeah, it's like something that's being asked of faculty and staff, like it should be, right? It should.
Right.
Because that's the goal. I don't foresee it happening in the immediate future, as it just takes time, but it's certainly a great point. I mean, for example, I went to the hidden group with Cheryl Miller, I'm a graphic designer. Yeah, so I went to that one because to your point, it's about design, right? So I think to a degree, some of those things are happening, and we need to find a way to get that information out.
So, as many people have said, it's an important job for us as student senate and student leaders to act as the liaison between students and the marketing team, not only just for this situation, but for everything we do here. But if we're to be sharing information about this campaign right now, where's somewhere that, and the website's not up, where's somewhere, since I know I don't have all the answers, besides saying just to email Blair with any questions, where is someone, is there anywhere they can find more information about this campaign in particular?
No. Again, I think the answer would be that the information about what's coming will come from Stephanie on the 14th. Like a week away, which is crazy. So that would be where I would push them when that kind of comes out. And I just want to be clear too, like, I certainly don't expect expect anyone on Senate to like go and do the legwork of like asking what students think of the campaign. If you want to take that on and share that with me, I appreciate the information, but it's certainly not, to your point, because there's nowhere you can send them right now. It's a really hard thing to ask.
I just had a question, for like groups of people that we're reaching out to. If there's any discussion on including the board of trustees in this, 'cause I know in the past we have expressed dissatisfaction, to say the least, with like the board of trustees and the decisions they were making. So I feel like including them also in the CAI work would be really important for like decisions regarding the entire institution.
Thank you. So actually, Tim Baxter, who is the chair of the board, was on our. That is absolutely. Thank you. You're welcome.
Anyone else has anything to add or want to speak with? Fiona?
I was just wondering, when you say education, is it gonna be like online stuff, or is it gonna be like in person training?
It will be both. So this, I'm gonna call it a website. It's really robust. We'll have access to links and things that you can go and do your own research, but there's also going to be information about equity is one that comes to mind, and how you can go to that event, or hidden truths, like I mentioned. So it's a little bit of both.
Anyone else to speak with us? We can go back to being our advisor, not a guest speaker anymore. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I did just want to add for those that weren't here, because I know there are only 2 leaders here last week. We will be passing a bill tonight to reorder the agenda. As you can tell, Adam had a motion to reorder the agenda. The reason for that is we heard the concerns of org leaders last semester about, like the length of the meeting. And we just wanted to, take that into consideration. Like, obviously, we think it's really pertinent for you to stay for guest speakers and open debate and things like that. But there's no reason for you to hear all of our, internal Senate reports. So we did reorder the meeting and add a few things. So I hope it works better for you all. Look forward to hearing feedback if you like it. But we'll be voting on that today. So you don't have to have any more motions in order to change the meeting. It'll just be our agenda and set of bylaws. All right, now we're moving into open discussion. Yeah, let's go open. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go to open floor for the student body. We'll start with Irish A.
All right. Happy Monday. We're currently planning out Diamond Week with NRHH, which would be February 28th and March 4th across campus. More details will be coming out soon. Roommate games is also taking place that week on March 1st at 8 p.m. in GHH Atrium. Large American Network taking place April 2nd at 7 in the Field House. Thank you to all the people who stopped by the involvement fair. We had 29 people sign up. And Spring Leadership Conference signups are due this Thursday. So if you can, hall council or a member of hall council are interested, please reach out. Oh yeah.
Any questions for your end? All right, moving on to MSU.
Sorry if it seems like I'm out of them. Really tired for some reason. So, MSU is now in full swing or Black History Month events. That's really cool. Tomorrow continuing on our culinary series, with Haiti being the country of focus, with menus, items such as Hunan sauce, chicken sauce, and rice and beans. With the next event, like the major one, being this Saturday, February 12th, for our Jazz and Paint Night in DHH Atrium at 8 o'clock, held by our very own Adrian Harris. I guess that's what you guys. In other news, MSU has had a new e-board change, with our newest member being Melina Joseph as our new vice president. And officially with the election, we now have a full e-board. My legs are a little weak today, so I don't stand up, but I do have the Air Jordan 8 Aquas on. And this was originally debuted in 1993 All-Star Game by Michael Jordan. Kind of weird because it has no correlation with the Bulls colorway, but you know, it was just this girl off the Hornets, I guess. That.
Any questions for Miss Yu?
Those are my favorite ones. I've had it for
All right, moving on to CN.
Hello, everyone. Hello. So first, we're excited to share that our first event of the semester went well. We're excited to see our newly recruited members at our committee meeting. And we want to thank everyone that supported us at our bingo event. Lovely to see you. And Sean gave us 2-1 bingo players. Besides for once though. Sorry. Okay, so we have our first all committee meeting on Wednesday, February 9th at 6 p.m. in GHH 108. We will be hearing from each of our 4 committees on their upcoming events, as well as brainstorming from future events. We hope to see you all there, and we will hopefully have free pizza instead. And committee meetings start on Monday, February 14th, on Valentine's Day. I'm going to see you. So more information to come on that next week with all like the times and locations.
And then finally, we are super excited for our COSPO event on Thursday with Saga during their health week. We hope to see you all there to enjoy some de-stress activities and snacks.
That's definitely the best event we have this week, I'm gonna lie.
Any questions for CN? Okay, moving on to ICC.
Hello, everyone. This week we have some fun stuff going on for ICC. We have our flower fundraiser going on. This is sophomore class fundraiser from February 5th to February 7th, but you can also order on Valentine's Day and pick them up. You have the option to pre-order roses and they're honestly super cheap for flowers, so I would recommend it. And you don't even have to leave campus, stop at the flower, so support us. Then the flowers will be distributed at table time on February 14th. The table time will be a joint table time for our Rogers Love You event. So ditch CEN and join ICC for Valentine's Day. Then the junior class will also be doing a fundraiser from February 10th to the 14th, where you can pre-order chocolate covered strawberries for Valentine's Day. You'll be able to pick them up on the 14th as well. We got a lot going on Valentine's Day. Thank you to everyone who came out to support our Mario Kart event. It went really well. We really appreciate the support. The gifts were pretty cool. Our Flashback Friday trivia event is now Flashback Wednesday. It's been rescheduled to February 16th because of the weather for Friday. The prizes include an Apple Watch, a year subscription to Disney Plus, and a coffee at the Keurig. So come short and possibly win something. 3 rounds of trivia. And our Roger Loves You event will be on Valentine's Day. It's like a Founders Day event to make for Valentine's.
Any questions for ICC? All right, Hans Harold.
Hey, the next issue comes out this Thursday, February 10th, and we're planning a murder mystery event with Forensic Science Club and Crime Club this month. We'll have more information about that soon. And we're also talking about doing some kind of student press freedom day.
Any questions for Hans Harold? All right, Saga.
All right, happy Monday, everybody, as CEN talked about. It's Health Week. So today we had a great mindfulness event in the food truck. That was a lot of fun. Tomorrow we have a table time from 11 to 2, where we're going to be passing out our regular hand sanitizer, and we bought brand new condoms, so come get some condoms. And we're going to have a little presentation running about all the different health resources we have here on campus. Wednesday, during our usual GM time, so 6 o'clock in the food truck, we're going to have a speaker coming from Sojourner House to talk about domestic violence and peer relationships. So trigger warning for that one. On Thursday, we're having our de-stress event with CEN, which will be so fun. And then on Friday, our final event is going to be a presentation in the food truck at 6 about sexual health and safe sex. I'm also looking forward to meeting with the Clubs and Boards Committee tomorrow to talk about our constitution. And we just appointed our new treasurer. It is Atlas. I'm going to say his name wrong. Locke Rapetti. And he's going to be starting on e-board next week, and we're super excited to have a full e-board again.
Any questions for Saga? All right, last but not least, WQRI.
Okay, hi, I'm Jules. I'm the new secretary to the BQRI.
So we have been looking into getting an artist for Rock the Block, and we settled on one, so we're gonna try and get a contract with them, and our Rock the Block event is going on April 23rd. We also settled on our February event, which is February 25th. It's called WQRI After Hours. It's in GHH. We have karaoke, just dance, some games, and we're looking to have like a Sunday bar or restaurant something with it for lots of good food. In general news, we started an activity in our gym staff meeting to try and get more involvement. And we're really excited to come out of it. We're making some playlists with really fun names that we'll probably be posting on social media at some point. So you guys any questions for the VPR? All right, go ahead.
Are you able to disclose the name of the artist or?
No, we can try to do a contract, but I can hear you guys when you do. Any other questions for the VPR? All right, if not, I made a mistake. Because you're gonna get this kind of music. All right, so open floor slash openness, open floor slash open debate. Any topics for open debate? Or forego? There's no-
Motion to forego.
Motion to forego.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstentions, all right, now open debate, now for.
Yeah.
Our advisor's report is like, yeah.
No, oh.
Because I hate to say to them before
Oh.
they disappear.
I have 8 grade school.
We got, there's a lot going on here, okay.
Yeah.
Advisory report.
Okay.
You all go.
So everybody's aware, there are lots of Valentine's fundraisers happening this week and next week. Lots of clubs, lots of sports, so I would say be selective, because I know all y'all aren't a fountain of money, but I know y'all love the support. So, try to make sure that you're diverse in your fundraising giving. And show the love to everyone. Also, senior portraits are taking place next week in the Senate chamber. So if you have a meeting in the Senate chamber, make sure that your group has reached out to Colin to find out where you have moved. Senate, Adam has already got it, so don't worry. Also, the most glorious thing that we've seen. The furniture should arrive on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thanks.
So after the furniture arrives, I think that's probably about 85% of the final changes. There's still the wall that is in front of the WQRI booth that's coming in, and we're doing some more wall decor downstairs, and they'll have to hang out. But, and another piece of science will have to get, but other than that, that is the bulk of the changes that are going to be happening to the perch and the hangout. So, it's been quite a year. That's all.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions for our advisor? All right. Moving on. All right, moving on to executive report. I will start. All right, hello, everyone. So I hope you had a great weekend. As far as updates go, I do have one major update that I do regret to share with you all. So unfortunately, our secretary Amanda had to step down from student senate, and her role as secretary, as she was taking a medical leave of absence from the university. So first and foremost, we really thank Amanda. Everyone knows that she was on top of everything at all points. Thank her for her service. She was super committed to the position. She got those minutes. They were always on point. We will miss her, but we wish her the best. So we also want to acknowledge that there might be many thoughts and feelings that might have arisen now or throughout the meeting. You'll be having a caucus tonight to process and answer questions that we can, work with next steps and more. So please check out this, also, please check out the Student Senate Instagram to see all the events for Black History Month that will be posted. And lastly, I'll be working to schedule our first guest speaker. eBoard hopes to have Dr. Damien Slocum, our new Associate Vice President of Student Life and Interim Director of Residence Life and Housing, come in to speak with Senate so we can learn more about him and he can learn a little bit more about us as well. And also, please stay tuned for more updates to come out on that, but also some more updates during the week. Anyone have any questions for me? Go ahead.
Do you have a day for Damien, or is it just kind of like?
No, he's just the first person that, I knew that there were going to be more guest speakers that were coming out of like all the meetings that we're having. And granted, I think we found one today, for another possible guest speaker. But he was the first one that usually when you get someone who's, in the university, we like to invite them here, so we can get to know them, they can get to know us, kind of like a nice working rapport relationship. So, he's the first person that I thought of. I think he would really get a benefit from coming to Student Center. Anyone else have any questions for me? All right, we're moving on to our Vice President's report.
Happy Monday, everyone. A few housekeeping reminders. As Adrian noted, senior portraits are taking place in the chambers for next week, which means all committees and councils that take place in there, as well as any other meetings and side conversations you want to have in there, won't be able to take place. But don't fear, we have other rooms across campus. So in the roster, you will see an alternate location in italics. And for all of our chairs, please throw that out in your group meetings. If you have any questions, reach out. Next, as Jordan said, we're having a caucus tonight to discuss the role of the secretary moving forward in the process, and we'll also have cabinet tonight as well to kind of touch base. So all standing committee and standing council chairs, please stay after. The retreat survey internal DEI project outline and video links will all be sent today or tomorrow morning. Apologies for the delay. We've been putting the final touches on. And lastly, next week at around 5:30, something new we're going to do is having a optional Senate dinner each month, where senators, instead of kind of being all spread across Commons at all different times, can really just come together once a month and enjoy that one meal together, completely optional. And if you don't have a meal plan, please feel free to reach out to myself or Adrian, and we'll be able to swipe you into Commons. And we'll be in the president's dining room, so kind of that room you walk in all the way to the left. So those are VP updates. In terms of some secretary update, as Blair and Adrian noted, we are in the final process of getting the office done. So super excited. The vinyl wraps are in and will be installed next week. Oh, this week, even better. This week. And then please make sure that we're following all the COVID guidelines in the office. They're all printed. If you have questions, reach out. But no one should be in the office that fifth person. So if you're the fifth person and you have an office hour, feel free to ask someone that does not have an office hour to relocate to the perch or hangout. And if you're the fifth person just in there for work, just feel free to head down to the perch. And finally, I wanted to touch on the minutes. So we approved the December 6th minutes that were only 3 pages. So finally, in our record, it will reflect that we approved 3-page long minutes. So we have to, as a group, be better and more diligent about reading them. about reading to make sure there's mistakes. Because if our advisors say something and the secretary doesn't capture that, that becomes a permanent problem. If there's a great idea here, that doesn't get captured. So we have to take it upon ourselves to read the weekly updates, to read the minutes, and to make sure that we're doing a good job. So thank you to the 9 people that reached out and followed the instructions on page 3. And at this time, I would make a motion to reconsider the meeting minutes from December 6th and ask that they be deferred to the next meeting.
Motion to.
Second.
Second.
All those in
I guess I'll
favor?
second.
All those in favor of that motion? All opposed? Abstentions? We will now be revisiting those minutes at our next meeting. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I just one thing, so I actually abstained from it. I think the only one issue that I had was I just didn't know if it was like, just like one of those things where it has big sentences and it was gonna get approved anyway. Or whether it was just gonna be something that we'd actually have to deny. So that's just my one little concern.
And definitely, thanks for sharing that. And that's always why you can ask the secretary or anyone on e-board questions at that point in time, so that we can get that, so we're approving the accurate minutes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Blair.
Also motion to change the floor. Like amend.
Yeah.
And motion to amend.
No, yeah, just want to repeat it, 'cause I don't think.
So people
heard
reach
you.
out to Adam obviously before they hit the floor. But if you get here and you notice there's something wrong with them, right, like you can do that. And should be doing that.
Any other questions for Adam? All right, now we're going to our treasurer's report.
Happy Monday, everyone. Hope you guys had a good weekend, good, first week of Senate. I don't really have anything to report on this week.
Any questions? Adam?
How's the budget looking, Zach?
It's looking good.
Glad to hear.
Our budget. Any other questions for Zach? Go Zach. Yeah. All right, we have our parliamentary report.
Hello, everyone. So I am working on a lot of different one sheets and hopeful handbooks / packets this semester, so make sure you're keeping your eyes out for those. I'm not gonna start listing them, so you're just gonna have to for them. I'm very excited for them. But your Parley Pro fun fact for today is in Article 8, Section 4. It lists out election challenges. So this section states that senators can make challenges to elections based on irregularities. And these challenges will be settled with a majority vote at the next regular Senate meeting. And these challenges would need to be submitted within 1 week of the election.
Any questions for Ally? Okay. Now we're moving on to our Senate reports. We'll start with our standing committee reports, and I will go with finance.
Alrighty, hello, everyone. So for finance, we actually had 3 clubs coming for a request. I think it was actually technically only 2 clubs. One of them was not able to show up. So first, Senate On came in for a $100 request for a fundraiser to raise money for homeless shelters. They were funded in full for $100. Women of Color Club came in for a $100 request for Valentine's Day fundraiser. And they were funded in full, but they were actually given allocated an extra $5, so they're given $105. And then lastly, construction management came in for a request for $600 for a trip including plane tickets and a hotel room to Vegas. They were allocated $1,083.08. Even I'm doing the math a little bit wrong. Finally, the committee began the review processes of sections 1 through 3 of the first draft of the student activities fees handbook. Same news then.
Any questions for Mike? All right, then moving on to clubs and orgs.
Hey guys, not much to report on this week. We had our first meeting. We just went over my expectations and goals for the semester, and I showed the new centers on the committee how to use the Hawk Link and how to check off the monthly report form.
Cool. Any questions for Brian? All right, student life.
Good evening, everyone. Student life met and set 3 goals for the semester.
first hope speak to dining about ways to better engage the student body in terms of meal input and overall outreach for students. Whether that be via social media or even just kind of around campus. So I'd like to confirm that dining will be joining us on February 22nd during our committee time, 2 p.m. on Tuesday. So if you'd like to join us, let me know. We also hope to create some sort of imagery or video collection of safety trainings that can be posted to the Wiley University website or something to that extent for all students to have access to. I remember during one of our Senate seminars, we had talked about kind of just safety trainings overall, whether that be active student situations or fire drills, just for students to have a better wherewithal of like what to do in those situations. We hope to kind of provide some sort of here's what to do. So then in terms of accessibility, we can reach students in that way. And yeah, I also followed up with facilities on the gender neutral bathroom signage, due to the snow and lots of flooding, kind of as a consequence of that. The signage and posting them kind of got postponed, but someone from facilities had mentioned that once we kind of get everything squared away with that they will post those signs and kind of like update those locations so that they are more accessible to students. Finally, another goal is to kind of look at the website in regards to what payroll jobs are accessible to students. So you may have a work study, but you may not have a work study, but you may also want a job on campus. So I know that at the beginning of the semester, there are a list of payroll jobs that are available, but sometimes those jobs disappear when they are full. So it's kind of, how can you make those positions known? Please, so that way if the position is filled, if the position is looking for people, then people will have access to them. So this semester is all about accessibility. And that's not right. So that is to plan. Any questions for Ali? All right, moving on, checking academic affairs.
Good evening, folks, and happy Monday. AA took the necessary time last week to dive into reviewing the committee syllabus procedures, as well as beginning to get acclimated to the committee's functions and aspirations that we have in store leading up to the semester ahead. The committee is in the early stages of dissecting previous meeting minutes dating back to last semester to get themselves familiarized surrounding the new additional textbook scholarship that will be going live this academic scholarship season. Aside from that, we are energized and ready to put our heads down and get to work. Have a great week.
Any questions for that? All right, you're not going to have a PR report, but we will next week. So standing council reports, I'll go with DEI.
Nothing really to report. We had a meeting on Wednesday and went over our goals and expectations that we have for ourselves for the council. Yes, more to come in the following.
Any questions for Josh? Lovely. Didn't you have the report?
I will say that because I was out last week, sustainability did not meet, but we are going to be meeting this week. And we have, I think, a really, really great dynamic duo who's going to be hitting the ground. So I'm very excited. So more to come next week about what the updates are with sustainability.
Any questions for you? Cool. All right, parking.
Hey everyone, hope you all had a good weekend. Parking is just getting underway with a total of 8 appeals having been received, none of which being appealed. Looking forward to more appeals as the semester continues.
I'm kind of proud of parking is a really great record. We need to share to add the record in our next report. Any questions, you can email parking. Ad hoc committee reports. We have none. Yeah. Lila.
Still meeting?
Hello, yes, we are still meeting. You have not seen any bylaw review committee bills yet. Yeah, so we met today. I will be reporting on what we actually did today next week, so you all have a week going. You know, this week's stuff next week, and it makes sense.
Stay tuned for next week. It makes sense. It does make sense.
You'll hear what we did this week.
Very exciting.
But we exist, don't worry.
Thank you, Joe, Zach, Megan, Adam. That's the difference between how to meet them. Any questions for bylaw? Surprise, Louise.
I just want to clarify, when I said that, I would refer to my ad hoc, not yours. Just until the second, I didn't know bylaw. But that's my fault.
You're good. You're good.
The joke explains.
No, I guess I didn't think that as well. It's fine. Any other questions for bylaw? All right. There's no more. Oh, no, good. Covering my X's and whatever, dotting my I's. All right, university committee reports. Any university committee reports to report on? Adam.
During the February faculty senate meeting, President Malice shared that the board of trustees will be reviewing the campus master plan proposal at their upcoming meeting towards the end of the month. Provost Everett shared a few updates regarding the real estate programs, including the posting of a faculty director of curriculum position, and plans to start a graduate certificate in real estate before exploring master degree options. There is also lively discussion amongst the faculty representation, or from the faculty senate, on faculty representation on faculty search committees regarding consistency within schools and its impact on MECHI and school-specific accreditation standards. So look forward to some more lively debate on that next month.
Any questions for Adam? If not, any other university committee?
So the campus leadership team met last Tuesday, and they began diving into the updates and bringing the members up to speed on how the NASPA conference went over winter break. We are in the early phases now with reviewing the team proposals on the Title IX sensitive protocol issues in ways we can strengthen other departments that may not currently have a hand in the overall process. So the next plan that has been set in motion is to reconvene next Tuesday of this month.
All right, any questions of that? Cool. Any other university committee report to report on? Not even most do. We got two. Hold on. All right, seeing none, does anyone have any motions?
Motion to open old business.
All those in favor of opening old business? All those opposed? Abstentions. All right, old business now open. Any pieces of legislation for old business? Adam?
Introducing SS48-055, a bill appointing Mackenzie Morgenweck to the position of Student Senate Public Relations Chair for regular consideration.
All right. So, Mackenzie reached out to be interested in the PR position. She had an outstanding interview, and the thing that really made her stand out was the fact that she has done a lot of this work outside before. She is very qualified for this position, and I think she's going to do a great job. And she's going to post a lot of social media, and she has a lot of ideas, so I'm looking forward to working with her and seeing everything that she will accomplish. I think she's the perfect person for this position.
Anything? I thank you for the opportunity. I'm very excited to see what I can do with this. And like you said, I've done this in the past before with a few political campaigns that I've been a part of. So I look forward to doing it in this setting with all the people that I love, and all the schools.
Right, I will start a speakers list. Anyone have any questions?
Sorry, I went a little fast, but I actually more or less just have like a comment. So like, I heard Mackenzie's like plan for PR by eavesdropping, which, I mean, I'm sitting right there, so like not really eavesdropping, but like eavesdropping. When she was having a conversation with Allie, and I was literally sitting there, I felt like I was eavesdropping because I was just like so stunned and like taken aback by like how ready she is for this position. And I actually have a story. So I was in the bookstore today, and I had a student come up to me, and they were like, "So, what do you think of like the PR position?" And they were like feeling it out. It was really weird, but I was like, "Okay, awesome." They were like, what do you think about, like, the PR position?" And they were like feeling it out. It was really weird, but I was like, okay, awesome. They were like, what do you think about, like, the PR position? And they were like feeling it out. It was really weird, but I was like, okay, awesome. They were like, what do you think about, like, the PR position? And they were like feeling it out. It was really weird, but I was like, okay, awesome. They were like, what do you think about, like, the PR position? And they were like feeling it out. It was really weird, but I was like, okay, awesome. They were like, what do you think about, like, the PR position? And they were like feeling it out. It was really weird, but I was like, okay, awesome. They were like, what do you think about, like, the PR position? And they were like feeling it out. It was really weird, but I was like, okay, awesome. They were like, what do you think about, like, the PR position? And they were like feeling it out. It was really weird, but I was like, okay, awesome. They were like, what do you think about, like, the PR position? And they were like feeling it out. what do you think about Mackenzie coming on, like, going for it? And I was like, oh my God, and like told them, what I had dropped on. And they were like, I'm so happy you said that, and started gushing about how excited, just like a random student. And just how excited they were to know that you were going to do the PR care. It was so random, and I was like, this is adorable, absolutely adorable. So like you have senator support, you have student support, so this is a no-brainer. Thank you.
Jonah?
I was just wondering what you plan to do or something.
So I want to post more just about what's going on. I hope to bring my own personal aspect into it, and maybe like, I try to think of like, I know that I watched Ashley at one point do like a TikTok video about going around and stuff like that, so maybe like, something that's stuck in my head, and I don't know if I can actually accomplish it, because it'd be a long day, but like a day in the life of a student senator, just to show what we do, because a lot of people don't always see what we do every day. Things like that, posting more often, the agenda was a big part for me. I really love being able to share what we actually talk about, just making student senate more accessible overall, not as hidden away. No.
I was gonna say, I like that idea of like going through the day in the life. I know, I think it's the Swim Dive account. They like go through the day in the life of like some random members on the team, and they just like, it's just the little things like going to class, getting breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that.
Showing that we're just part of the student body.
The students think.
Any other questions or comments?
Motion to close the question.
Second. All those in favor of calling the question? All opposed? Abstentions? Bill not being called a question. Motion to adopt by unanimous consent.
Second.
Is there?
Wait.
All right, this bill passes. All right, any other, Adam?
Introducing SS48 -0256, a bill appointing Alex Robbins to the position of Student Life Involvement Ceremony Co-Chair for regular consideration.
That was such an mouthful. Would you like to elaborate?
I'll yield to the president.
Okay, cool. So everyone that knows Alex knows she has this really lively personality. The second she joined Senate. And just in her interview and the way she was speaking, it just was clear to me that she wanted to be on Senate for the student body. And she really cares about everything that the student Senate does to impact the student body. And that was something that really resonated with me. And I really thought that after watching SLIC last year and everything that happened, that this was just the perfect position for her. I find it super fun. I hope she has the amount of fun that I hope the last chair had. So this is why I am deciding to appoint her to this position. I think she's going to do a great job, and she's going to speak beautifully and eloquently on that stage. Come, biggest name. Yeah, come in. All right. Anyone have any questions or comments? Michaela.
I do. So first of all, I think vibrant is like the best way to describe Alex. But okay, like rewind, go back to the story I just told. So this random student then, as soon as we stopped talking about PR, went into SLIC. And what? This is, I'm dead serious. I can't tell I can't like say who it was. But this person, they were like, so Alex. And I was like, bet. So this student then started gushing about you and how great that they think that you're gonna do. And this, I had nothing to add to the conversation because they said that everything I was gonna say. They were like, I think that she's just gonna do an amazing job. And like the vibrant personality, I had a strange. And I was just like, yeah, preach. And so I thought I'd do it. No, the student is not one of us, actually.
Yeah.
They are not in this room at this moment.
At this moment.
Oh.
At this moment.
Oh.
Here.
All right, Ashley.
Do we know who the SLO co-chair is yet, or have they not been selected?
Would you like to direct the entry? Okay. Say fine. She was so nonchalant. Fine. I don't know that much about her to speak on it, but Believe Adrian. Believe her. Any, go,
Sorry. We're trying to figure out, trying to solve a problem here, so I apologize. Maya, she is a first year student, working, and so it's been slow. Working to find desk assistant, all last semester. They're talking with her, come to find out that, she's got rid of class council and planned award ceremonies and other events similar to this. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. But she didn't. But she is really excited and absolutely honored to be able to take this role. So like, is looking forward to working with Senator, and yeah. The other great thing about mine is that she works like 2 days a week and slow in the morning when I don't have any, or I don't have a lot of meetings, so I have lots of time to work with her, as well as the co-chair with Senate, during her office times to get.
It's just a fun time out there for us. Any other questions or comments? Oh, wait, sorry, I'm gonna veto that. Alex, would you like to speak? I'm so sorry.
I just wanted to say thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'll recall something I said to Jordan in my interview, is that when I joined Senate, I didn't want to join it just for the title of having the their name or just having a position name. I wanted to join just to be someone who can help the student body, and if this is a way for me to help, and I will put all of my effort and energy into this to make this the best it can be.
Now let's have motion.
Motion to call in the question.
Second. All in favor of calling for the question? All opposed? Thank you. All right, calling for the question?
Motion to adopt by unanimous consent?
Second.
Is there any dissent? All right, just all right. Adam.
Introducing SS48 057, a bill amending Article 2, Section 3 of the Student Senate bylaws for regular consideration.
All right, would you like to elaborate?
Yes, on this one I will.
Okay.
So as we discussed at retreat, here is the revised agenda for general Senate meetings, keeping in mind the thoughts of the org leaders and the org chairs that sit here. But the few highlights of it are, after the minutes are approved, we'll go into open floor for guest speakers, or for guests. So that's why Blair was at that point in time. Anytime that we have guest speakers, they would go there and then allow the student body time and us time to kind of discuss what was shared in the open discussion forum. And the change from open debate to open discussion is very intentional, as it allows more of those commonalities that we can come to the table and address without feeling like we always have to debate for the sake of debating. And then we go into open floor for student body, which is where any of the org leaders or students can also speak. And apologies to our advisors, we will find a new home for the advisory report. The advisory report was usually in the open floor for non-senators, but now advisors are not student body members. So if the advisors have any insight and want to encourage emotion, more than happy to hear that. And then the rest of it is kind of just simplifying executive reports into one instead of listing up the positions, and everything else flows the same.
I have inquiry. Would it be better to table this until we have like where they're gonna speak? And then talk about this again? We don't have to like go in and like change this again.
Later. Sure. So we'll take, as we kind of debate the bill, our advisors will be looking at it and thinking, so that way we'll just be able to make a friendly amendment. So we'll still be able to get it done tonight.
All right, I'll start speaking with Brian.
So this is just a suggestion where I think we should possibly put it either at the end of where it is at the end of an executive report or at the end of Senate report is where I would put it also.
Yeah, I would say direct. I'm going to disagree with that because we also want to make sure that there's announcements in there for the student body, i.e. like set up portraits. So maybe, I would suggest maybe putting it in maybe open floor for guests or open discussion. Okay.
I have a really benign procedural question. For the change to open discussion, do we have to change any parliamentary nomenclature from like in any kind of like official documentation from like motion to open debate to motion, open discussion, or is it just as clear?
Would you like to? Would you like to direct? Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll direct to that. So you motion to open any piece of legislation, any item on the agenda. It's not essentially no, because you can just motion to do this or that. Like you don't need to edit any motions or anything, unless it's just how you're phrasing it when it comes out, like when you're saying it. So when you're saying it, just say motion to open debate, and open debate, then no. Mike.
I echo previous comment. I believe the best location would be for open discussion. I'm sorry. Yeah, right after open discussion.
Riley.
I would say just to have changes to open floor for non-senators and you stick it at the end there. The beginning, yeah, either way, somewhere in there.
Zach.
I would say for line 6, I would change the wording to open floor for advisor / student body. And have advisors go first in that section, in the subsection.
Joe.
I was gonna suggest maybe putting it at the right beginning of executive reports, and then once that's done, whoever's in the crowd can leave.
Brian.
That's basically what I was gonna say, or we could give them their own line. Is there a possible, like, one man like had like a line between open floor for student body and executive reports?
Point of information, Article 3, Section 7 of the bylaws is entitled open debate and discusses when people bring up debate topics under the agenda item, open debate, so that part of the bylaws would have to be changed.
Point of parliamentary procedure.
I understand. The part, the same piece and then the bylaw review committee is making an amendment to that section, so it's being discussed. Thank you. I think you do that.
This is more of a question. Is there a reason that open floor for student body was chosen as the title that was put in there? Like, are we, like, how we're discussing possibly changing up that phrasing, does it matter? Go ahead.
The intentionality behind student body was allowing not just the org leaders to share their perspective, but also if there's students that come in, it's that general time that students can share their thoughts on the guest speakers or open discussion topics.
Adam.
I will yield to one of our advisors since they cannot speak on legislation if they have any thoughts.
Actually, our suggestion was said by a senator already, in that general area. Which was to, move us to the top of the executive.
Reclaiming my speaking turn. Would the advisors then encourage all org chairs to stay? Great, thank you. And I will make that amendment to. What should I do?
Okay.
Oh, yes, please. I struggle with change sometimes over some really interesting things. This is one of them. So why are we changing it? I mean, I like open discussion way better than open debate, but why?
So, I think that kind of goes back to our meetings last semester, when sometimes when the president comes or guest speakers, but I'm just thinking more on the lines of the president, especially came to mind. There was still some questions that people had, and they wanted to still discuss, and there was no room to discuss in our agenda. It was just, okay, let's just move on to reports, and there was just no room to ask any questions, or, hey, can we have follow-up on this? So open discussions kind of that place where, you know, if there is something that students want to discuss, they can discuss it. Yeah, and then we can move into open debate as a branch off of like open discussion wherever we debate, but could we add that into here then? Say like, open debate is like a subsection of open discussion?
Would open discussion be inclusive of discussion topics that come off of guest speakers, as well as open debate questions that the student body as well as student senators could have? For example, if the guests that were at Senate meetings, student body members, they wanted to just sort of chat through anything that guest speakers had said, and we wanted to continue those discussions, or even have some sort of general discussion that didn't necessarily come from an open debate question, that could be had there as well as an open debate question. Would that be?
Yes, that is where it would be. It would again be in the form of a question that would be posed by a member on the table. And then at that point in time, the audience and senators have unlimited speaking terms. So it would allow for both the traditional, how we think of that open debate topic being submitted with a factual introduction, but also that time for students to voice their concerns once the senator opens up. What are the student senate's thoughts on the remarks given by President Morales? And then we can have that conversation.
So continue on speaking turn, why can't we just make open discussion so it's like, it follows those rules like a different section, so that way we have like open debate, and then we have, because it seems like we're trying to do two different things in one thing. By saying like open discussion is both like this, like everyone has unlimited like speaking turns, and but then there's also it feels like we're doing too much in one section. And like, could we just, I don't know if I'm just like not following and I just need to like see it in action.
If I can direct that's a direct. Sorry, can I point of information? Sure. That's essentially what happens in open debate. There's no one.
Yeah.
And you start the conversation in the form of a question. You should have a factual introduction. So for example, if there was like, what are the thoughts based off the conversation that was had off with our guest speaker Blair, for example, if you want to do that tonight, then we could phrase it like that. And then if we wanted to do a factual introduction, we could say something about, I want to continue the conversation as Blair said XYZ, and then we could have more of a discussion and a discussion. And then, yeah, there might not be a one sheet prepared, but that's one sheet is a piece of supplementary information that doesn't necessarily need to be presented, but should be. If that helps.
I think we're just gonna have to like have like a sit down after this and be like, this is what
That might not be
decide.
sorry.
And it's okay, just because it seems like there's, it seems like we're trying to like make open debate looser, and I'm not exactly sure like the need for that. And if we're looking for just like oh, we've gone too long for the guest speaker, like, and we just want to like let students talk to us afterwards, I feel like that's not, like, open debate is not the time to do that. So open discussion would be another subsection, and also like open this, I don't know, it's just like if you're still gonna have the one sheet for it, it's open debate. So like there isn't, it doesn't add any more room. I just don't see how this is like changing anything, other than literally just saying instead of open debate, open discussion, it's the same exact thing. So like, I'm just saying like, what is supposed to be the difference here?
All right, I'm going to go to Mike, and Mike, would you?
Oh, I was gonna try and direct, I'm sorry, I was just being
Hey.
crazy.
I'm so sorry, actually wasn't, the second part I was just gonna say was, why can't we just say, open floor for like non-senators? Why are we changing that instead of student body?
There's a direct, I'm a direct, so, I'm going to just.
Point of information.
Thank you.
So the rationale behind changing open floor for guests and open floor for student body was to allow the time and for the guests to speak. And then to have that discussion with the student body during open discussion. And then because board reps would be required to stay through that part of open discussion, which is why we wanted to move that up before the executive and senate reports. So we could help them get the content they need to, and then be able to leave, which is why that category is moved up. Which would then change where the board reports would then be.
Motion to limit debate to 5 more minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Abstentions? All right, debate's now limited to 5 minutes. Mike, would you still want to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be quick. With open discussion, I believe that one of the other things is that when we look at open debate is more limited. Open discussion is going to allow for us to now look at like something that we bring up for open debate, but now allows us to have a common discussion about it, just so we don't have to have that.
Adam?
I'll yield to our advisors.
Thank you. I feel like the easiest distinction is that non-senators cannot bring open debate topics to the floor. That is the true distinction, and they wanted to be able to have active conversations, much like an open debate topic, but we can't allow them to do that because we have to. So this gives them the forum, the space to do that.
Actually, what's wrong? Any other speakers for the speakers list?
Motion to call the bill to question.
Second. All in favor of calling for the question? All opposed? Abstentions? Bill now being called to question.
Adam Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Zach O'Neil,
Yes.
Amanda Platt, Mike Rowe,
Yes.
Brian Carroll,
Yes.
Ali Trumbo,
Yes.
Zach LaFontaine,
Yes.
Jason Lincoln,
Yes.
Joshua O'Meara,
Yes.
Isabel Boyer. Yes. Louise Garcia,
Yes.
Ashley Berry.
Yes.
Riley Peters.
Yes.
Danny Hazelton. Yes. Fiona Dolan.
Yes.
Michaela.
Abstain.
Joseph Sisuli,
Yes.
Alexander Robin.
Yes.
Kira Ishimi,
Yes.
Mackenzie Morgenweck,
Yes.
Nathaniel Rolo, Matt Kelly,
Yes.
and Stephen.
Yes.
This whole passes.
Any other pieces of legislation for old business?
Motion to close all business.
Second.
All those in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? All right. We're now out of old business. Any,
Motion to open new business.
all those in favor of opening new business? All opposed? Abstentions? New business is now open. You're never gonna get a word, unfortunately. He's really.
I know, no, I know.
Okay. Any other pieces of legislation, well, any pieces of legislation for new business? Adam, sorry.
Introducing SS48 XXX, a bill appointing a student to the position of general senator for regular consideration.
All right, any other pieces of legislation for new business? Adam,
introducing SS48 XXX, a bill appointing of student members to the Student Senate Parking Council for regular consideration.
Hearing it. Any other piece of all right. Any other piece of legislation?
Motion to close new business, second.
All in favor of closing new business? All opposed? Abstentions? You gotta do this now. You gotta.
You can't just hear us for.
All right, announcement. Adam.
As a reminder, we have caucus and cabinet. After we adjourn, we'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll be back here.
Ally.
All right, so just a reminder, no technology at Senate meetings, so like, please refrain from checking your phones and Apple Watches and such. And also please try to limit, I know it's fun to like chit chat around the table and such, but, please try to limit your comments because, you know, Zoom can pick up your comments and it might hinder upon like what discussions are being had. And also we're all trying to ensure that we're being able to like, hear everybody.
Any other announcements? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor of adjourning? All opposed? Second, all right.